Years ago, I went through an experience which kind of woke me up in terms of probabilities of ongoing existence, and that was I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Absent treatment, I was given 2 months to live. But he said, if we can give you an aggressive round of chemotherapy and get you into remission, your chance of being alive in 2 years is 20%. If we can get you through 2, 3, and 4 rounds of chemotherapy, plus total body irradiation and a bone marrow transplant, your chance of being alive in 2 years is 50%. Now, when somebody says to you, your chance of being alive in 2 years is 50%, most people will say, well, geez, that sucks. But when the choice is dead in 2 months, it looks pretty good. And so, not surprisingly, I opted to take the treatment. So I liken that to our situation with climate change. I don't know what our chances of diverting that trajectory to one with which we can live. I don't know what the probability is, but I am pretty confident if we do nothing, the outcome will be disastrous. I liken it, if you like, to existential assertivism. If we do nothing, we know what the outcome is. So let's assert we have a chance of diverting that trajectory, and let's do the best we can.
Do you believe that this is a problem that we can solve? Do you think that one day we'll be looking back at this period of history and seeing it as that was a challenge among all the other challenges of history that humans suffered through and ultimately prevailed over?
When I first started in this business, I came in thinking about the environmental impacts of energy, and I value energy because it impacts everything we do on a daily basis. But I thought we could do it better and more effectively and more efficiently and less polluting. I was the president of the Solar Energy Association of Oregon, and I started the Renewable Northwest Project to help get these things going. And when I was doing that 30 years ago, they were like nowhere. This wasn't happening. And slowly but surely, it has increased. And then in the last like 5, 7 years, it has taken off.
Nature has been here. You know, people worry about nature. I don't worry about nature. Nature's going to continue. Mother Nature bats last. If we understand her rules, we have a chance of making this transition.
We will be living with the effects of climate change, there's no doubt about that. The science tells us that, right? We already are in a different world than I grew up in. And I think about my kids and what world they're gonna have and their kids. So I think we will eventually arrest what's going on. What would happen in my lifetime? I'm not sure. As long as we are good to each other and we focus on what technology can do and what it can't do, we are cognizant of what it cannot do, which is it cannot make an agreement with your neighbor. You know, it cannot really build up communities, right? If there's one thing that gives me concern, it's that in this year of 2024, can we talk to our neighbors? Can we talk to our fellow citizens?
Don't shoot from the hip. Don't be overreactive. Don't tell you, if you don't believe exactly what I believe, you're an idiot. I am optimistic. I have to be, you know? This is a time when you pull everybody together and you stop talking about unifying and you say, okay, here's my philosophical and political views. Here's why I believe this. If they'll listen, and then you likewise listen, there can be a great joy in actually solving problems. Our country has always had to overcome big problems, big issues. Stay tuned, I think we'll be okay, Keegan.
I'm a glass half full guy. I think about my own kind of lifetime. My parents fled the Nazis in the 30s. Not all got out. We lost family at Kristallnacht and Theresienstadt. Of my pieces of legislation. I almost didn't make this interview, here with you, and I'm not talking about getting a flat on I-5 or something, I almost wasn't born, I had a chance to be raised by a Jewish family that, valued public service, and I wanted to play in the NBA. That wasn't gonna work out, and I started working with the elderly. So I'm not a big believer in setting limits. I think we can achieve what we set out to do if we're committed to it.
Of course we're going to solve this. It's just what that is going to look like getting there, and how much damage that is irreversible on sort of human generational timescale are we going to do? You know, the forest will recover, but it will take thousands of years. So, you know, I'd like to see us have not as much damage on my kids' and grandkids' generations.
I have granddaughters. You know, we're taught to look ahead 7 generations and think about how we're acting right now, what that's going to mean for people coming behind us. We constantly think about all of the things that the generations before, that 7 generations before up on the wall where I said I had my 3 times great-grandfather's signature is up there, or his mark. You know, they were thinking about us just like we're trying to think about future generations. So, you know, we're going to give it our all, and I hope we do.
It's not necessarily about optimism, it's about responsibility. We need to make the right decisions for our, 7 generations in the future. Responsible choices and decisions are the only way that's going to happen.
It will play out easily over 100 years. By the time we're done rebuilding our energy system, we will have a renewable energy system that is perpetual in some sense. Right? No fuels, no pollution.
I see how every corner of the world is invested in it. And when the younger people I always remind them, when they get engaged, you are the future of the world. And we are going to do our best to leave a better world for you. And I have great faith they are going to make a better world happen.
We always have to have hope. I mean, that's I think, part of the human condition. Once we've lost hope, we have a tendency to give up. And so we've got to keep hope, and I have it. I subscribe to the school of thought that says we can do it. And I say that because the alternative is not acceptable.